You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
In a way, I do think Mary Oliver's drunk cousin I do use that as a persona. There is a lot of misconception about that all poetry is autobiographical. And obviously a lot of it is, but poetry falls in the fiction category. And so there is some distance between me and the writing. Sometimes some of it, it mixes. Some of it is more hyperbolic or more extreme than maybe I feel, that kind of stuff. But I think I would tell poets that there's room for humor and that humor really, really can help enlighten and educate, and that we should use it more everywhere.
Hey folks, welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. Heather and I started off as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success. I'm getting very spitbally here saying that line this morning. Put themselves on a path to creative success. Very Daffy Duck of me.
Okay. It's been a morning already, folks. We are glad you're here. And it's a good thing we have the guests that we have today. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. Anyway, today we have
good guests.
We do have really good guests.
That's
who
the
have
takeaway.
Great senses of humor. And today we have the hilarious and also quite heartwarming Lyndsay Rush joining us. And y'all may know her as Mary Oliver's drunk cousin. She's, every time I see your username pop up, Lyndsay, it just brings me joy. So thank you. I'm curious about it, but just thank you. Lyndsay's a poet who's been making us laugh and think on Instagram and Threads. Her debut collection, I can't talk either, A Bit Much, which if you were watching us live, you would see me holding up, but you're not, you're listening, is a must-read for anyone who loves humor, honesty, and a healthy dose of female empowerment. I'm so excited to chat with Lyndsay about her journey from comedy to writing poetry and how she's built this community of women who celebrate their true selves. Lyndsay, welcome to Was It Chance?
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. So I'm excited and terrified.
Are you one of those people
Honesty.
who can just spit out haikus like you can? I know people that are like, yeah, here's a haiku. I just made it up on the spot.
I can do a haiku
You
on
have
the
a
spot.
special place in your brain.
Heather, you can do a
that does
haiku
not
on the
exist
spot.
for
You
me.
can count you can do it.
Yeah. I do have to count on my fingers, but
You know
I
what
can
I
do
realized
it very quickly.
was a haiku once? The intro to The Real World, where people
What?
stop. Hold on. Find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. It's a haiku.
Whoa.
Wow.
Although I've had some people debate me on if being.
It's two.
Being.
Stop being.
Oh, so then that changes it. If being, I was going being. I'm making being more like being
So
one.
that's-
Being.
I'm stretching it, but in my heart, that's a haiku.
How many times does your jaw drop when you say being?
Being.
Being.
Well, I have a Midwest
Being.
accent, so I don't even know how that affects things.
Right.
I'm
if you're
not-
Southern, you can't do haikus.
Yeah. Being.
Because there's so many extra
Because
syllables.
everything's got an extra accent. Yeah.
Haikus must be
I
hard.
love it.
Haikus are hard in the South. I live in Nashville now. I should really investigate that.
You should go do it like a Billy on the Street style. All right, yeah.
Read this, and then I'll
Lyndsay
I'll
on
be
the
like
street.
counting the. Not a haiku.
Let's get a measurement. Nope.
You're out.
Where are you from? You cannot do haikus. Great. All right. Now that we've
There's
lost
a
all of
Threads
our
account
demographic.
that I follow called Haiku Feels, and she posts a one-word prompt every morning, and then you can write your haiku underneath it. And for a while, I did it. It was like my Wordle. I did it every day.
That's
But
cute.
I don't do anything on a consistent basis usually, so that dropped. So, yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, I'm feeling a haiku, and then I'll go find it.
I need to flex my haiku muscle. I'm feeling the itch.
Because I am not a professional poet like you are. So let's talk about you, Lyndsay. Segue. I need to know how you got your handle. I love Mary Oliver. She's amazing. I love you. You're amazing. You're different. Tell us the origin story of Mary Oliver's drunk cousin, please.
So, gosh, I'm so glad I still like it because it is one of those jokes that could have had a life outside of itself, and I ended up, when you like make a little joke once and then it catches on and you're like, ooh, I didn't like that, but I do love it still, thank goodness. When I started my Instagram account for poetry specifically, I had only been dabbling in the genre for like 3 months maybe, and I just knew I didn't want to put it on my personal Instagram. It just felt too tied to, it's like old high school friends and my aunts and uncles and stuff. So I was like, I need to start a dedicated account and I need people to understand immediately what they're in for. So I knew I wanted it to be a joke so that people knew this was sort of humorous, tongue-in-cheek poetry. And I felt like it would help people if I connected to a well-known person. And Mary Oliver is iconic, and especially for her attention to detail. And I feel like she takes small things and derives deeper meaning from them. But of course, she's like out in the wilderness every day. She was out in the wilderness every day being like the geese and these like the reeds and stuff. And I am like, have you guys had Doritos? Or like, what does it mean to share potato chips with someone? So I thought I'm like her drunk cousin. And I don't typically love alcohol jokes. I think they're sort of low hanging fruit. But I was like, everyone can think of like their drunk cousin. And if you can't, you are probably the drunk cousin. And I was the runner-up that I tell everyone was going to be Dollar Store Mary Oliver, but I wanted Mary Oliver's name to come first in the handle, and now I can always tell when bots are trying to pitch me like brand partnerships because it'll be like, "Hello, Mary," and I'm like, "Oh, you don't know who I am."
I get Vickery all the time, yeah, and I'm like, "You're not trying very hard." Like, we're out.
See ya. So that's a long-winded story, and then it really caught on, and I was worried that people would think it was a parody account, like I was just taking her poetry and writing it in modern day funny ways. And I do that once in the book, but it's not a parody account, and people understood. People are smart, you guys. Did you know that? Well, some people, roughly about half the country. Little less.
Depends on the year, maybe a little less. Or it could be Starlink. I don't know. I have turned into a conspiracy theorist in the last week, so I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, okay. Go ahead.
I do want to know, though, not like do you have any like innocent, harmless conspiracy theories that you like? Any lighthearted ones? I love hearing what people are like, maybe that's true.
Birds are fake.
No, I just... what's fake?
Pigeons. People think pigeons are government plants, right?
Yeah, pigeons are fake. Pigeons are government spies.
My oldest daughter has a pigeon account on Instagram. She just takes pictures of pigeons and posts them.
So she's a plant.
What's it called?
We
Can we plug it?
She's a government spy.
Yeah. Yeah. Your daughter's got something she needs to tell you.
That could be true. She probably has lots of things she needs to tell me.
Did you guys ever hear the one about that Avril Lavigne is actually dead and her body double has been performing?
Yes!
That one is so funny to me.
I've heard that. Let's see. There's lizard people conspiracy theory.
What's that one again?
that there are aliens, lizards from space, who have come and are living on our planet in human form. Okay. And they have infiltrated and have influenced our government.
Wow. I'm not that crazy. I just think we need a fucking recount in the swing states. That's all.
Alan and I are like, but is
like
it
a
legal
legal one? Like not a
Did Avril
11,000 votes, just like an actual hand recount. That's it.
Oh.
And that's where we are, folks. If you don't like it, we're not the show for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Bye-bye.
Let's see. Oh, I just Wikipedia this.
Conspiracy.
I just Wikipedia this. There's a whole film about it. They're called Reptilians.
That's the name for the lizard aliens?
Yeah. The idea of reptilians popularized by David Icke, a conspiracy theorist who claims shape-shifting reptilian aliens control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate human societies.
Wow.
This is real.
Wow.
I mean, the conspiracy is real. I totally believe this now. Just because I read it online.
That's how information works on the information superhighway of the internet. Whatever is on there is true. I get all my
Goes
news
by
from
so
TikTok.
fast,
Is that bad?
You can't fact check.
I do too.
Oh yeah, no.
If it's not from Under the Desk News, I'm not interested. Shout out V.
Yeah. My 9-year-old came home yesterday and said, "Hey, did you know the government has one dodo bird left and they're keeping it, but it's a conspiracy theory?"
One dodo bird.
Just
Yes.
one.
Just one. Just one. I was like, "Did you see that on YouTube?" He's like, "Yeah." Okay. Now we need to have a talk.
We need to work on the parental controls on the YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay,
block
okay.
Dodo
So-
bird conspiracy theory.
So, Lyndsay, you came up with this. People got it right away because roughly about half the country is smart. And and then what happened? So can you just tell? Let's go back. Let's hear a little bit about before Mary Oliver's drunk cousin. Like, what's your background story? And this show's, of course, about taking intentional risk for creative success, which you did in your username. So we've already got that covered. But yeah, tell us.
So
a
I
little
can
bit
stay.
about
We can keep
yourself.
talking.
You can stay. Yes, okay. I did a little begging to get Lyndsay on the show. I was like, please.
I'm an easy sell. I'm like, sure, I'll yap. So let's
Talk
see.
about myself for an hour.
My little backstory. So I've been a writer professionally for most of my adulthood. I did not study it in college. I studied, I studied film and Spanish, not Spanish cinema. Those are I double majored in, and not even like filmmaking, film history. No offense to anyone who has made a career out of film history, but there probably aren't a lot of people. And I really should have pursued Spanish. Anyway, I think I knew I liked storytelling and language, but I did not realize I could just do English. I should have just studied English.
English creative writing degree could have worked.
Imagine journalism, amazing. Unheard of. So when I graduated from college, I just moved with friends to Chicago and just took the first job offered to me. And I was a assistant at a stock brokerage firm. So I helped traders on the floor, like, keep up with their certifications and stuff, like money, stock, like absolutely not my bag, but it paid well and it let me live in a city with my friends. And so I did that for like 4 years and then quit because I was like, what am I doing with my life? I was 25. And y'all, the year I quit, 2008. Who knew what was going to happen there months before the recession? And I remember telling my dad, I was like, how hard could it be? I'll find another job. Cue the whole collapse. So then I started a blog called, are you guys Arrested Development fans at all? Do you remember
Yes,
that show?
yes.
I called it Bob Loblaw's Job Blog, which is a reference to their lawyer's website. And I just would post my misadventures of finding work and being an intern and being a temp. And then that became my portfolio. And from there, I was like, wait, that's sort of copywriting, when I would be like making up funny titles for things. And so and then I became a copywriter, and then I started a branding agency 10 years ago with my best friend. And so that's been like my job. And in the meantime, I would write satire articles and comedy pieces. And so I just was sort of like, I couldn't write, and people believed me.
Wait, what's a brand company? What is that?
Branding
do?
agency? Like we launch like brands, like a company who doesn't have a name or a tagline or any product descriptions or anything, and they need a presence. So you start a company and you're like, this is good. And they're like, how do I tell people it's good? And we're like, we'll do it for you. And so we do it using humor and delight, because we think that's how people remember things. So humor is the long story long. Humor has been the through line the whole time in my career. So when I started dabbling in poetry, sort of accidentally during COVID, I was like, what if I could just take some of my jokes and add more of a backstory to them, give them a little more depth. And I made it up as I went, and people liked it. And then truly, it was one of those annoying stories where like literary agents were in my DMs, and then I had to like I fielded those calls, picked an agent, and then we sold the book like a few months later. It all happened really, really fast. So cool. Yeah.
How long ago was that?
So we sold the book in 2023, a year ago. What year is it? Is it 2025?
Not yet.
2024. You guys, what is happening?
Let's not rush it, because when we get there, we're fucked. So
yeah. We're going to say Project 2024. Project 24 for now.
Can we stay?
Yeah, so it all happened. Yeah, so it launched my Instagram account in 2022, sell the book 2023, book comes out 2024. Absolute madness.
What was your following like when you first launched the social media account?
Yeah, so I would post and a lot of this is what Instagram was then. It changes so much, that algorithm.
Yeah.
The hack at the time was just post all the time. Back then, Instagram was like, sure, that seems like a good reason to show your stuff to people.
Yeah, post every day.
Yeah, so I posted every day, and it grew pretty fast. And then I wrote the piece that is inspired the title for this book that's called She's a Bit Much, and it had a lot of celebrity reshares, one of whom was Michelle Pfeiffer, which is why I dedicated the book to Michelle Pfeiffer.
I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know. You said, why. I was like, but I don't, Lyndsay. I don't know why.
Exactly. I was like, anyone who remembers will feel really in on the joke, and anyone who doesn't will be like, why did you dedicate? You guys, when NPR interviewed me, that's what she chose as the title of the interview. Why Lyndsay Rush dedicated her poetry book to Michelle Pfeiffer. I was like, that's so embarrassing and awesome. So to me, any opportunity to be dumb and be funny, I will take it. And that was one of them. Did
Michelle reach out to thank you for the extra publicity?
She should have. She has shared 2 of my poems on her main feed. And I'm pretty sure she runs the account because it's not very glossy or tailored. It's very
been a minute for Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm not a hater. I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, I know. I'm just saying
she's got the time.
Yeah, she's got the time. But she does not. Her DMs are closed. We have not gotten in touch with her. So every chance I have, I say, Michelle, if you're listening, I want to give you a book.
She's actually kind of peering through your window, watching you. Right now.
She's
a little bit creepily.
Catwomaning. She's like,
yeah, she's catwomaning through that Christmas tree that needs a cat climbing through it behind you.
That's weird.
I identify with the a bit much because I've always been a bit much. So it's an attractive statement to me.
It really, that was probably the real turning point in my poetry career, was that poem, because it took, for people listening who aren't familiar with it, it took a phrase that is typically intended to make people feel like they're being too much and that they should be smaller and quieter and softer. And I list a bunch of things that are universally beloved that are a bit much. It's just sort of turn that phrase on its head. And it was just so resonant with women, especially because I think that's who that's usually targeted towards, to be like, oh, wait, what if a bit much is a compliment? And y'all, I just had someone DM me yesterday, the eighth or ninth person who has gotten that tattooed on their body, a bit much, to fully reclaim it for themselves. It's just been one of the most special small parts of it.
Well, you could start a cult then.
You've think
already got 8 or 9 people.
That's next, and we're gonna wear one pieces that are in the color of the book, teal.
Good. So you're easily masked out of videos, because it's that green color. Yeah.
There's a great branding ad there. Really, we go back to that whole sort of 40s synchronized swimmer look.
Yeah, let's do it.
Out of the water? Was that a thing in the 40s? We're gonna take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
Guys, I used to be very gullible because I grew up evangelical Christian. So I know cults, so I could start one.
Wait, okay, so can you share a little bit of your deconstruction story? I hadn't anticipated that. That's not in my list of questions.
Yeah, so there's a section in the book that is called When the Monster Turns Out to Be 3 Dogs in a Trench Coat. And it's basically my rage section. And I call it epiphanies because so the book is divided by moods or emotions. So basically either how you're feeling or how you want to feel, because that's how I read poetry. You sort of pick it up and leaf through. So I thought, I love feelings, I love emotions. Let's divide the book that way. And so that whole section, there's a lot of stuff about my faith or lack of faith, deconstruction, and my experience specifically from a perspective of being a woman and purity culture and motherhood and just all of that. So I was in that religion pretty intensely until I was 26. So I stuck with it. I didn't go off to college and then I was like, wait, there's a whole world out there. I went off to college and I was like, I'm saving myself for marriage and Jesus is the real deal. But then I joined a sorority and I And I was like, this is fun, but I thought I could do both. And then I just really was like, this doesn't seem like love to me. And so it was a very non-stressful like fall away, like something like I feel like I had an epiphany. Look, it fell out.
Your epiphany fell out?
My epiphany fell out of my hole. My air.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
See, y'all are getting
Gosh.
a little taste of what was cut out because so help me God, Alan, you have to cut all of that out for this
That needs to be the blooper section at the end, is us talking about our holes.
We should do that at some point.
Okay, I'll put whole bloopers.
We'll
talk about our holes. All right, everyone.
An extra episode drop of some bloopers. We probably have
Scroll
a lot.
everyone to the end.
Oh my gosh! And if they're all dirty, they should be called bloopers, like BLUE, like blue comedy. That's all like dirty stuff. That's a free idea.
Bloopers.
That's a free idea, but also she's a branding expert. So
But also hire obedient agency if you're launching a company.
And the mascot could be a cat.
Yeah.
Bloopers.
Bloopers. Cute.
Meow, meow. That's the second Catwoman reference. See, Michelle Pfeiffer, where are you?
Wait, are you guys cat people? Is this something we need to talk about?
Yes.
He is not a cat. He is not a cat person. He's
I
not a
am.
cat
I grew up
person.
with cats. I love cats. I would have cats if 50% of my family wasn't allergic to them.
Okay, fair enough. I like cats just fine, but I don't like pet hair and I don't like changing litter. That's how I feel about my dog too. I love my dog and he's snuggly, but I don't like having to worry about feeding him and walking him and cleaning up his poop.
But at least he doesn't go to the bathroom inside. That's my thing.
He does not. He does not. And I do all of those things. For those listening, I do all of those things to care for him, but also I don't really like it.
Well, that's the shitty part, pun intended, of looking after animals is you have to clean their poo-poo.
Looking after anything.
Well, that's right. I have
keep.
4 kids. Like
4?
We're
Right.
maxed out, although 2 of them are young adults now. And I don't have to usually
So they
clean
poop
up
by
everybody's
themselves.
poop. They
Yeah.
poop by
On
themselves.
their own.
But still, I'm like, my caregiving well is empty.
Yeah.
Beyond my kids. It's always filled for my kids, but beyond that, like, I don't have it. It's
Right.
empty.
Except
Don't come
for
at me.
your conspiracy theory time.
Except for
That's
Right?
my me time.
That's my me time on TikTok
if-
right now.
if
It's
this is
intense.
my attempt-
It's intense.
This
Can't
is my
talk.
attempt at
I'm going off the deep end. See you.
that's a shirt.
Yeah.
Here's the difference between us and them. I have to say this is like we at least go, I think I've lost my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Because I really kind of think there could be something going on. And if I'm wrong, I will say that. That's the
Yeah.
difference between us and them.
You're not going to storm anything.
I'm not storming anything.
We're talking about the reptilians again, right?
Yeah.
Humans and reptilians.
Yes. Yeah, that's
We're
exactly
talking
what I
about her teenage pigeon daughter.
Teenage. Your daughter is
daughter-
a teenage pigeon.
That is
Talking-
friends with
yeah.
a lizard person. Wait, what are they called? They're not called lizard people. What are they?
Reptilian.
Reptilians. Thank you.
Reptilian. Yeah,
I'm so sorry to
one of
any
Heather's
reptilians
daughter-
listening. I also think you deserve bodily autonomy and your rights should be protected.
I really, really needed this conversation after this past week. I have not laughed. There has been no laughter for a week. Wow.
So that's how I left the church, guys. That's
How
I forgot what we were
did
talking
that
about.
affect like your familial relationships? Have they come along with you?
so my little brother is a youth pastor.
Ooh. Sorry for your little
yeah.
brother, but red flag.
Ouchie. No, that's fair. But he's like one of the good ones, I think.
Okay.
But like it has been, I think for me, and this is something I was grappling with this morning on the phone with my sister. So I would say like 60% of us are not churchy anymore. And then my mom and my brother are still pretty religious. And I was sort of like, the last thing I want to do, if I grew up in a very black and white thinking of like, I'm right and you're wrong, is I don't want to find myself just doing that with a different set of beliefs. Even though, of course, we all feel that way. Like we do feel like what is true is true. So I'm trying to figure out how to remain open and have relationships with those people in my life who, especially this week, I mean, it's just so hard. But I feel like I have a obligation almost because I have some privilege being white and cis het woman to keep those people, to show those people my lived experiences and why, because otherwise they won't know anybody who Anyway, sorry to take it so serious, but that has been my experience with leaving the church has been I don't want to just be dogmatic and closed off in a different way, because that's just another side of that coin. Even though that is such muscle memory to me because I grew up that way for so long that it's just like, oh, I am vehemently like everyone else is so wrong, and I'll have these moments where I'm like, wow, I'm being that same way
just on the other
that
side.
I was just for a different thing. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard.
I'm glad you shared that because I struggle with that as well. And we've got a question. It's hard. Like, I do think so. I'm a cis white woman. I'm just not a straight cis white woman. Mm-hmm. And we do have this privilege that if we care, we need to use. And so you too, Alan, right? Like, we all need to be in rooms where we can have conversations that can move the needle that other people can't get into the room on. The queer side of me, though, is just really fucking pissed off at anybody who could vote to strip me and my family of our rights, or my Black friends or my Latino friend, like whatever. And I'm feeling very in that line of like, if you voted against me, I don't fucking want you. Like, just go away. Yeah. And it doesn't fix anything. And I'm really glad there are people like you who are doing something. But for right now, I'm like, I got to be out.
Right. And you can only do what feels safe and like fruitful to you. So like, because there is and as a woman, parts of my safety and rights are at risk just it's all just like variant degrees. You know what I mean? Like, so I think with whatever capacity we can try. And then we also can be like, no. I mean, it's just like conflict is so uncomfortable. I tried to have this conversation with my brother, not to really, I don't want to get in the weeds on this, but about the idea of abortion and when does life begin? And like his interpretation of the Bible and morality say one thing that he feels very, very passionate about. And my lived experience and autonomy see it in a totally different way. And so I'm trying to read a lot more about how do you go beyond that? Like, you're not going to argue someone out of something that feels super, super deep in their heart. But can you find some common sense things of going, okay, well, if lawmakers are making those decisions, they're very vague. And then doctors are put in this legal, and the implications of other things. And like, so, but then you're just like, those conversations have to be in safe spaces with people you know very well, because it's not going to happen in a comment section. And it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to change someone's mind with like a kick-ass viral TikTok. I mean, maybe. And the people that are trying should keep trying. But to me, I'm like, if I can keep having conversations with my brother about my lived experience and my friends and how this is impacting us, maybe that will help.
Absolutely.
But it's uncomfortable.
I think the answer lies in, I don't want to tell somebody else how to believe and how to behave. And I don't want them to tell me how to believe and how, like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Absolutely. If you don't believe in abortion, don't have one.
Right.
Their job isn't to police everyone else. And to me, that's where things really meet. Like, it's okay to believe whatever you believe. I fight for people to believe whatever they believe. Anyway,
right. That's right. That's what. Yes, poetry. We can move on. But that's the interesting line I straddle as having a lot of people in my family who are in that world. So it's been and everyone in my sisters and I have all taken different stances. My little sister is like, I'm not going to Christmas, and everyone just has to do whatever they need to do for a little bit and grieve and breathe, and then storm something and demand a recount with your conspiracy theories.
I'm not storming. I'm just calling my representatives.
You're just brainstorming.
Brainstorming.
Oh
so speaking of Arrested Development.
Yeah. So Bob Loblaw's job blog.
So the money is in the banana stand.
How much can a banana cost, Michael? $10? Oh, I love that show.
Oh, God. One of my favorite ones. Okay. So, like, coming out of the cult, coming out of the religion, coming out of all this seriousness, like, I know a lot people similarly that have turned to comedy to deal with past lives like this. Is that sort of where you went? Because if you like, you don't laugh, you cry?
Yeah. And it's like, I think I have a poem in here that talks about, if comedy is tragedy plus time, it's like maybe one day we'll laugh about all of this. And that one was about the pandemic. But I really I think about this a lot. One of my fears when this book came out, because my whole thing is joy and delight, was that people were going to think I was being dismissive or like veering into toxic positivity, you know? Because I'm like, find the joy. Like, that would be my worst fear, right? You know, your book's about to come out and you're like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm a hack that is just like some, you know, Dove chocolate wrapper saying. But the way that I defend my point of view is that I feel like I'm trying to remind people of hope, which does not look away from the hard thing. It just says, and yet, like, what else is the alternative? Like, this is we look at the hard and we still try to find a way to move forward. So that's my hope with the joy and humor. But I see the world through humor, so it makes sense it has just helped me process things so much. I feel like a poem is done when it either has an absurd title, a punchline at the end, at least one of those two things, something that would make someone roll their eyes. For example, there's a very I have a hard time being earnest. I don't know if you've figured that out. And there's
I like those movies too. The Ernest goes to
those
everything.
Those are the worst movies. I wasn't allowed to watch them growing up, and I'm actually glad. That's the one thing I was sheltered from.
Same.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Band camp. Yeah.
I would have loved to read The Babysitter's Club, but I'm super glad I didn't read Ernest or watch Ernest. But there's a poem in my book called Cracks of Light that is about going through a hard time. And I asked my editor, I was like, last minute, I was like, let's call it Butt Cracks of Light. And she was like, why? It's not about butts. I love it. I was like, I just need something funny in there. And she was like, we're not doing that. That is perfect.
Titles are great. I mean, even if I'm
Did you win?
I didn't win. She was right. That one I left but just know, if you read it, in my heart, it's Butt Cracks of Light every time. But there's.
I'm going to do it.
You've got the mind of a 12-year-old boy.
There are great titles.
And I appreciate
Mum's the Word, M-U-M. How Lovely to Be a Woman. I'm just randomly.
I'll tell you my favorite ridiculous one I won.
Aging the Easy Way.
There's one about leaving my faith, and it's called Resurrectile Dysfunction. So that one I won. Yeah, they're a chip off the old narcissist. That's about my dad. I just love very silly titles, and
I love the jaywalking one. I posted it last night. This was so great. Today, let's harness the confidence of a white man jaywalking. No rush, no little apologetic jog, just the unrepentant bliss of getting from where we are to where we need to be. And I'm like, yeah, that's me for the next 4 years.
I have noticed. I remember when I wrote that, I watched two women cross the crosswalk. I was driving. And like they were like, "Ooh, am I going?" And then as they got their turn, every woman would do a little jog or like a wave of thank you. And then like men would cross the crosswalk and just be like, "This is my right. This is my crosswalk. I'm not even looking up. You don't mean what is a car? What's a car going to do to me?" And I was like, "That's the energy I would like to harness."
That's it.
That's it. And then I ran him over with my car, and that's why I'm calling in from jail.
Well, okay, but what I love, this is perfect. This is a nice segue, though, because what I love is that you tackle really big topics like body image, aging, whether or not somebody should have children, and you do it in a way that is so engaging and funny. But, like, how does that work for you? Does it just come to you? Is it easy? And also, I really want to know how you deal with trolls, because they've got to be off the hook.
No, you guys, knock on wood. Knock on this book. I have no trolls. None.
What?
I don't even get,
what?
Sometimes, and so much so that when She's a Bit Much went viral, I had one man say something like she sounds like a drag or like she sounds like a loser, like the she in the poem. And it was so new to me to have a troll that I went to his open account and wrote like a diss track, and it was called like He's a Bit Much, and like used but it was like loving. I used all examples of things he was doing, like cliff jumping, or like he had like this huge sundae, and I was like, he's a bit much, like jumping off a cliff and not knowing if he'll land, like all this stuff to be like,
oh, good for you.
Like I was like very sweet to like show him the point. So that's how much energy I put into my one harmless troll. So far so good. And with this last week with the election, as I've been a little more vocal about sort of where I stand, there have been a few people being like, no way, this is the best, like, but very just like, I'm like, you didn't even try that hard to be a troll. They're just so, and I always try, my like thing so far is if I'm either going to write a diss track poem about them, or I'll be like, ooh, yikes, that's something interesting to say out loud. I'll just do very lighthearted, or like, ooh, I think you're on the wrong account. We're like really nice to each other around here.
Yeah.
Because it's then they feel really embarrassed if you let what they said echo.
Have you written a diss track about diss tracks, like Drake and Kendrick Lamar? Like, what's going on with this?
a diss track. Wow, that's like Inception diss track.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll write it down. I'll write
You
that
should.
after.
I want
You're
you
like
to
write
send
it on the spot.
Yeah.
Right
write
now.
it down. Write it down, and
On the spot.
send it as a voice note. And we'll edit it in.
You guys, when I got to record the audiobook of the book, like with my voice, which they usually let poets do. And so that was some of the first times I've said certain things out loud. Like I'm reading like Resurrectile Dysfunction. I was like, wow.
Did they let you laugh? Because my favorite is when people read their own shit and they laugh at themselves.
They like kept in a few giggles, and you can hear in my voice when I'm smiling for sure. But hold on, what was that? Oh, the publisher wanted to make like a little reel. They were like filmed asking me questions like, how did it feel today? And blah, blah. One of the questions they were like, improvise a poem right now about how you're feeling. And I just look in the camera and I go, no. And I did drop out of improv school. So that's what I said. I'm a dropout. I'm not legally allowed to improvise. I didn't finish the classes. So
They took away your license.
they said, absolutely not. I didn't finish clown school, therefore I cannot clown. But you guys are funny. If someone's just like, be funny, like there's nothing worse than someone being like, funny guy, eh? And you're like, no. Not
There was an old improv teacher of mine. There's an improv teacher of mine that told a similar story, and he would always answer that with, I'm a potato!
That was his. And then everyone was like, we're never asking that guy to say a thing again.
Yeah, that's it.
We learned our lesson.
Oh, okay.
How many times can we hear him say he's a potato before it gets really old?
It's too much.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
All right. So you shared earlier that you started this account, Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin, and all very quickly it got a following, and then people were approaching you to write a book. Did you get to have like a little what words are challenging for me right now? Contest for like who's going to pay you the most money? Like
did it go to auction? You mean
auction?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long fucking week.
So it was down to 2 publishers. It was very exciting. It was very much like the only part of the book process that felt like the movies was that part. Everything else was sucked so bad, except for like touring. I loved writing the book and I loved selling the book. Promoting the book and designing it and all the nuance was just like, oh, it was just so tedious and so detailed. So yeah, it came down to 2 publishers, and we had them sort of like going against each other. It was fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Well, we know who won.
And now you know who won, St. Martin's. And the next book, when there is a next book that we're working on, the way it works is they have like first right of refusal. So the publisher I'm working with now will be like yay or nay. And then if they say nay, then we put it out to whoever. And we're also thinking about turning She's a Bit Much, the poem, into a kid's book for little girls. So that's to help
that'd be so
girls
nice.
learn that message earlier, that they can be loud and bossy and take up a bunch of space. So that is really exciting too.
So be prepared for more promo to children.
Yeah, can't wait to just be
We're
a potato to
indoctrinating
kids.
the children.
Hey kids, I'm a potato!
And then they're like, New York Times bestseller. She used the craziest strategy in the game. She was a potato. The publishing world had never seen it.
Oh, that might make the trolls come out. If you start telling little girls that they should stand up and trust themselves and believe in their power and love their bodies and question authority, that might make the trolls come out.
Heather, it sort of sounds like you want me to have trolls.
No, I just really want to watch you handle them like some sort of superhero.
I'm so fragile, I'll die.
Approach.
Do you
handle it like the Wendy's account? Just like snark right back.
Yeah.
That's it.
You have to just sort of be spicy. Maybe I'll hire like a Gen Z intern.
That's what you need. That's like
to just like field them all and be like, these are our brand guidelines. Don't go past here, but always do this. And then they can just do it on my behalf.
Yeah. Do that.
You know, I will
okay
say
that.
it's sort of hard for, I feel like I'm sort of in this safety net of like, I'm just this artist trying to, like, poetry is so appealing to me because you are leaving some things up to interpretation. It's not about, you're not like saying things decisively necessarily. You're going, maybe I meant that. What did you feel about that? Like, it's art, it's up for interpretation. So I think it's tricky. I feel like I've got all the trolls. They're like, because you're like, you're going to come, you're going to come onto an artist's page who's trying to bring joy into the world and tell her you disagree. Like, so what? Like, I think it just sort of makes them look.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's true. We had a guest last year, or was it earlier this year, Rashawn Brown, who is a spoken word poet. And I think that's the difference in just written and spoken word, because with spoken word, there isn't as much interpretation because you're putting the emphasis and the energy, it lands where it lands. And I love both of them. I'm a big poetry fan. I wrote some poetry when I was younger, to Alan's shock and awe when I mentioned that in the interview with Rashawn. Not as good as yours, Lyndsay.
I feel like I wrote poetry when I was little too. Like, I just think it's just so cute that, I don't know, I love words so much. So I'm always like, it's so cute that we want to play with words, that we want to like mix things around and have double entendres and have deeper meaning with words. I love language.
Well, good puns. I mean, dad jokes aside, good puns are incredibly fun to listen to.
Yes.
When they're good, they're great. I think puns get such a bad rap because obviously there are lazy puns. Those are, but like when it's right, it's right. And like so many studies say that like that's how we remember things, you guys. Like we
absolutely
learned things through songs and rhymes and wordplay and double meaning to be able to go, oh, that's that. Like when I watched my nieces and nephews start to learn like not knock jokes, but like setup and punchline, when they're like, why did the this, and then they realize that like bear and bear have sound the same but have different meanings. Like it's so fucking cute. You're like, yeah.
I read joke books to my kids for bedtime sometimes, because like pun books.
Yeah.
They get me the pun books for a gift for some occasion, and then ask me to read it to them. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
I put jokes in my daughter. My youngest still gets love notes in her lunchbox. She's in 6th grade, and they're jokes. And I got knock jokes. I bought them off of Amazon. I hate to admit that, but anyway, where else are you fucking supposed to get those things?
What if I just like hung up? Like I was that like, oh
yeah,
you shop at Amazon? Couldn't be me.
That's how I feel about myself when I shop at
Laptop
Amazon.
slam.
But anyway, I was looking through them and I'm like, these are so dumb. I can't put these in her lunchbox, because they were all knock jokes off of names. And she laughed her ass off. She was like, oh my God, my friends and we love these. And I was like, okay.
Mom, we are
fine.
cracking up.
Okay. All right. Whatever works.
That is great.
Whatever works.
Whatever gives us a little bit of respite.
So you're writing. You got another book coming out. I mean, at some point, you're planning on another book. And you're running your branding business.
Yeah. I'm just real relaxed, you guys. And I'm chasing my 15-month-old. I had my baby in my book I wrote the book the same year I had my son. So I turned in my manuscript the day before I went into the final manuscript the day before I went to the hospital and had Dawson.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And then you had to promote it and all that stuff with a newborn. That's crazy.
Well, no, by the time it was a year later. So he was a year when the book like came out. Book stuff takes so long. But still trying to like tour and do different things with the 1-year-old, I was like, oh, this is not the deal. So hopefully for the next book, I'll have what will it be, 3 or something, because books take so long. And I can just, don't tell me otherwise. By 3, everything will be super easy. Say nothing.
Easy, just different.
Alan's like hiding his face. He was like, Alan, how many kids do you have?
2, and I got the snip. I'm out. I tapped out.
Yeah. I'm out at 1, you guys. This is enough for me. This is wild. Heather has 4.
My two. I asked ChatGPT to write some punny jokes about brand agencies.
Let's see. I love this because I'm always like, they're not coming for my job.
We need a pun for the title of this episode for sure.
Okay,
yeah,
we'll get that.
Like a wide so.
Most of these are pretty terrible.
Let's
so
hear
ChatGPT, you let me down. Let's see. Why did the brand agency break up with their logo? It just wasn't making the mark anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's fine.
Why don't brand agencies ever go to concerts? They're tired of hearing pitches all day.
ChatGPT.
How many brand strategists does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, to rebrand it as a luminous experience.
Hey, that's bad.
Pretty good. You can
There you
use
go.
that one, Lyndsay.
Yeah, I'll take it. Next time you guys visit my homepage, that's what it'll say. It's it's like a rebrand that makes me laugh is we don't call it pleather anymore. We call it vegan leather. So branding works, guys. We just make anything sound
true, actually.
And there is a slight difference in the materials, but like you don't hear anyone say pleather anymore. But it's fake leather. We're just like, oh, it's vegan leather, and you're like, she cares about the world.
So I can eat it?
Yeah.
Like when I say vegan, I think eating.
It means non-animal.
Non-animal.
I've never heard that in the term.
You've never heard of vegan leather?
I just say faux leather.
You know, you strike me as someone who wears a lot of vegan leather pants. I don't know. This is so surprising.
It's actually I wear them as
that's what I'm going to get
jackets.
you for Christmas, Alan. Some
Now you
vegan
know.
leather pants.
What do you get for the guy who has everything? Vegan leather.
Vegan leather pants. I mean, I do like vegan leather gloves. Give me a whole outfit. I want a vegan leather jumpsuit in the color of your book, and so I can get the tattoo and join the cult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
All you
in
have to
the
do,
cult.
I want it to be like a cult / MLM, which is sort of the same thing, but like to join when you join my cult, you have to pay me, and then you have to find 6 friends to pay me, and then I'm still working on the terms. But I want to make money off the cult.
We're workshopping.
I'm going to be honest
this.
about my cult. I'm going to say this. I'm starting this for me to be rich.
Is the cult.
This is a cult.
Okay. Get rich. Yeah.
And I want free babysitting.
Yeah.
You have to babysit,
Yeah.
and you have to pay me money to watch my kid.
Yeah, pay me.
That's how this works.
Easy.
So speaking of Arrested Development, like you've built this community, you've built this whole brand. It's a brand identity. You've created this brand identity online. So for people, maybe they have a podcast. Maybe it's called Was It Chance? This is all hypothetical. What advice would you give to these people who are trying to like start a community and stay true to their voice?
It's a great question. I really do feel like the more you are your weirdest, most specific self, the more you will find people who like it, who either are exactly like it or who really enjoy it. Because anytime I've tried to water myself down, it, 1, feels gross, and then 2, doesn't resonate. So truly the dumber I am online, the better, the more it grows, because I think there's something refreshing for people about being yourself. That sounds so cheesy, but that's like what A Bit Much is all about. It's like, let's own it. And I think that's it. Be real.
I'm going to start posting dad jokes.
There you go. Come on.
I think that you should. They are awful. They are all awful, but you should post them. I agree. I mean, Lyndsay just said the dumber you are. So I say do it.
What is a cow called when it goes dancing? A milkshake.
That's great. Wait, I have a vegan dad joke. Hold on. I was vegan once. It was a missed steak. I wrote that one.
What does Batman put in his soda?
Hold on.
Just ice.
Oh, that's good. Sometimes I feel like I could guess them, and then I wouldn't have done that. I was like, penguin. I was like, what's? I was trying to think of
penguin what? Penguin what?
I was going to say penguin juice, but I don't know. I was trying to think of Batman characters.
Yes. Mr. Freeze.
I want to know if Mary Oliver's drunk cousin was a whole person and not just you.
A pole person?
A whole
reptilian
person. Her own alter ego person.
Okay, okay.
And she could give any poet, dead or alive, a piece of advice. What would it be?
Oh my goodness.
Or a piece of her mind.
Well, I think in a way, I do think Mary Oliver's drunk cousin I do use that as a persona.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconception about that all poetry is autobiographical. And obviously a lot of it is, but poetry falls in the fiction category, like in publishing. And so there is some distance between me and the writing sometimes. Some of it, it mixes. Some of it is more hyperbolic or more extreme than maybe I feel, that kind of stuff. But I think, and I'm certainly not the first to do it, but I think I would tell poets, I can't think of a specific one I would tell anything specific, except to say that there's room for humor and that humor really, really can help enlighten and educate, and that we should use it more everywhere.
I mean, listen, one of my favorites, it's right up here. This is my poetry shelf right here. I'm going to put you right up there after I'm finished reading it.
Yay.
Dorothy Parker.
Oh,
what's
right.
the name of the piece? But Might As Well Die is how it ends.
She's iconic.
Yes. She's so iconic, and she's so dark, and she did end her own life, and that's tragic, and I'm not. Yeah. But there's a lot of humor in all of that. Mm-hmm. I like that.
I mean, I feel like Emily Dickinson had some humor too. I mean, there's lots of poets who use wryness and clever. Obviously, wordplay is a huge thing, but like maybe I mean absurdity or silliness or playfulness.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you watch Dickinson? Have you seen it?
That's the newest show they made, right? With what's her name?
Yeah, it's a few years old, but
I watched season 1. That's what reminded me of her.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's beautiful.
What's
that actress? She was in
and funny.
Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect 2.
Anna Kendrick?
No, the other one.
Rebel Wilson?
No, has brown hair. She's also a singer.
Yeah, it's not Selena Gomez. I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name because I've watched all of it. I've actually watched the whole series twice. What they did with it, Alan, you would probably like
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld. They, like, pieces of the poetry come out onto the screen, like in glow in the dark or neon or whatever. Death is his own character. Death is my favorite character in the entire show because she had this relationship with death and all of her poetry, right? But they've modernized it, so everything is old. The costumes are old, the sets are like old Civil War time, but the music is modern, the language that they use is modern. It's fucking brilliant. It's so brilliant
cool.
art.
Were they doing that before Bridgerton did that?
Yes,
I thought so.
Yes, that show came out before Bridgerton.
It was very, very cool.
It's fantastic.
What's it on
watch Bridgerton.
For people?
Is it Apple TV? I think it's Apple TV.
Yeah, I think it's either Apple TV or Max. Let's talk about a rebrand. I can't believe they're making us call it Max, not HBO Max or HBO.
You want to talk about terrible rebrands?
Yeah.
Can we talk about formerly known as X? Yeah. Twitter? Twixer? Chitter?
Quitter? How do you pronounce X?
Twitter?
I feel like I see people write about it as XWITTER.
Shitter.
I do love Threads, though, you guys.
Shitter's great. I mean,
I love Threads too. I just joined Blue Sky though because I think I'm gonna have to get off of Meta products, all of them.
Blue Sky's good. It's
Listen,
decent.
after Zuck congratulated the president-elect and said, "I can't wait to work with your administration," I was like, "This is gonna turn into a hotbed of hell, of stealing information, of misinformation, without any checks and balances," and I instantly, I was in human design. I have a splenic authority, and my spleen was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" I was like, "I gotta go."
Run.
But it's hard to do because I have this whole bit. I'm a business owner, and I have all these platforms, and I have all of these community members, and I don't want to lose everybody, but also I don't want to lose myself.
Fight the trolls.
Oh, that's a word. But I don't want to
fight
lose
the
myself. Maggie Smith, speaking of poets, had a post yesterday that said she's writing her own Project 25. Do they call it Project 2025 or Project 25?
2025.
Project 2025. And she was saying rule 1 is no self-abandonment. And that sort of sounds like what you're saying.
Oh, I love that. I need to go find that.
Yeah.
I want to read that. Is she going to publish it? She should.
I don't know. I think she's posting, it was like a sticky note of her writing it. I think she's posting, that was rule 1. It was yesterday. So I'm hoping she's going to keep posting more.
I love that. Actually, that reminds me. So when I wrote my book, it's called Fuck Fearless for the nobody can see because we're not live, and we probably won't show this clip, but it's right behind me, guys. Hey, there's my book. I wrote a lot of fresh content, but I also pulled and edited and revised some past, blog posts and things that I've done. How much of a bit too much did you have done, and how much of it did you write fresh?
So that was like a term in our contract, and each publisher had a different approach to it. But this one was 70% new. So I could keep 30% of stuff that was previously published, aka on Instagram, because they wanted, of course, this is like the hardest thing. They want me to keep growing that platform. A platform is a large reason why they wanted the book. So they're like, you got to keep some of those fan favorites up there and keep posting while you're while man, Nashville and me. No haiku happening with while. While almost 3. So I had to like keep that growing while you guys
While
at the same
time as I was writing stuff for the book and not being able to post it, which I'm such an instant gratification person.
Me too.
That was how I grew my account, because I was just like, man, let's throw this at the wall and see if anyone likes it. The minute I wrote it, I would put it up. Like, I mean, I would like tinker and edit, but most of the time I'd be like, this is gold. And sometimes it was and sometimes it wasn't. I think you need a little bit of delusion to be an artist. A little bit or a lot, right? You need audacity and delusion to sort of I posted a poem yesterday that's called Braggadocious with the Mostest. Yeah. And it's all about being high on your own supply. So I'm like, yes, thank you. That self-love is a hell of a drug. So I had to write all this stuff for the book while writing new stuff for the Instagram, etc. So, and there was 144 poems total. Wow. So if you do the math, which I won't and can't, 70% of those were brand new, and I wrote them in 8 months, 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so what's your writing process? It's different with poetry, I think, than like a novel, but
yeah,
it's 101 new poems for those playing along at home.
Thank you.
I knew he'd
carry
do
the
that
one
for us. Yeah.
100.8 specifically.
Since it's not my like job, I only do it when I want to do it.
Yeah.
And that. Even with the book, I had a ton of drafts and stuff I had never like a lot of incomplete stuff I could revisit. And I also wanted to think about other parts of my life that I had not yet written about. Because I usually write when something feels immediate or urgent in my brain, either something painful, something joyful, something true. And so my process is like, I'll hear a expression or a turn of phrase or a word and think about how that could be the opposite. Something will come into my brain and I'll literally have to stop what I'm doing. My husband's always like, oh, here we go. Because I'll like stop in my tracks and get my notes out. And so I'll usually have like a skeleton of something. And then some mornings, if I have extra time, I'll just open my doc and just look and be like, what more could I tinker with there? But yeah, that's basically it. I usually do from like, we don't start our agency stuff till 10 in the morning because why take all the risk of running your own business if you can't start when you want?
I have D&D on my phone until 10 a.m.
Right.
Like, don't fuck with me. Yeah.
We always joke, like, if Allie, my business partner, calls me at like 9:45, I'm like, what are you doing at the crack of dawn? Like business. So we try to say, I think whichever way it works, we say that we like open on West Coast hours and close on East Coast hours, whatever it makes to be the least amount of work. So usually our nanny gets here at 8. From 8 to 10 is when I write, when I do book stuff, promotion stuff, reels, my newsletter, all that stuff. And then I start working for the man, aka myself, at 10.
The woman.
The woman.
I love that. So what kind of intentional risk do you think you might take next? Like can you give us any insider scoop on what's coming next?
Well, I think I'm going to, this feels like a business risk, not a creative risk. I am going to start taking brand partnerships on my Instagram, which is a risk to monetize it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Which feels like a risk to my community. But I've realized that I can't dedicate time to putting fresh content for free while also writing new books and running an agency. So I sort of have to justify, I need that 8 to 10 a.m. to sort of be fruitful. So, and I'm going to be very picky and I'm going to just do it really dumb. So we'll see. I have like 2 that I'm going to do for this winter. So that's sort of a risk. And I've put out some stories and telling people that I'm going to do it and just saying, and I was like, how would you feel? And like my DMs were flooded with just get that bread, like get that coin, girl.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I'm here for it. Make your money.
Yeah. So that is sort of, it does feel, you're like, in my brain, I'm always like, it is not a sellout, but like, I don't know. That's just the system we are in. Like, you know, why do accounts that grow suddenly stop doing the thing that made them grow? I haven't quite answered that for myself yet. And I still put up new content. Maybe I never will. But it'll either work or it won't, and then I'll stop and then I'll figure something else out. But like the only other thing to do with that would be to like teach. And I don't give it. I have no idea how I even do this. The idea, I have a poem in here called Heck Yes, I have an MFA, major frickin' attitude, because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I don't even want to tell myself how to do it. I certainly don't want to tell you how to do it. That sounds so boring. But lots of creatives make a ton of money teaching other people how to do what they do. And to me, that's the same. They're using their online presence and clout to get clients just in a different way.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of how you see. I mean, it's gross. I wish I could just eat potato chips and like hang out and write dumb jokes into the world and have everybody be happy and have rights.
Me
but
fucking too.
But here we are. We're just in a hellscape.
Those motherfucking bills to pay, and the seventh gates of hell have now opened. So it's great.
Yeah. So I've been calling myself a poet-fluencer or a poet salesman. So I'm still working on that. Poet-fluencer doesn't roll off the tongue, which is sort of why I like it because it's so dumb. So we'll see.
An Instapoet.
Instapoet. But that exists. That just means people who are posting their poetry online.
Poets.
What's another word for a salesman?
We'll workshop. We'll workshop. We'll do some market studies. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back. So how are you trying all this stuff? Obviously things are working, some are not, but what is your overall relationship with failure?
It's a great question. I feel like
two in a row. Two good questions.
I feel like I know. I think that's just what I say when I need a second. But it is. I am pretty used to it. And I think you can't be a person. I joked on Threads the other day that was like, you can't hurt my feelings. I post poetry online. Like, but you can actually hurt my feelings. It's very easy. Please don't try. But I don't know. I think being an entrepreneur, you fail a ton because you're just like, does anyone want this? And then sometimes people are like, no. So it does feel like a muscle that the more you do it, for me personally, I don't think it ever gets easier, but at least you know it's part of the deal. Because when the question I ask myself a lot is, what's the alternative? The alternative is to not do it or to not try. And that is much more painful to me than failing.
I like it. I like
that too.
Will you accept this answer?
I will accept that answer.
You're stroking
Final
your chin
answer.
like,
I mean, it's just
Final
part
answer.
of it. That's exactly
phone a
right.
friend.
Yeah.
And the
I'm
alternative
feeling on my
is
white,
quitting.
on my grays coming in.
Okay. All right, Mary Oliver's drunk cousin.
Thank you.
Lyndsay.
I have had people say like, are you actually related to her? And I'm like,
but I am a drunk.
But I am drunk right now. We do though. We call my community, we call ourselves cousins, which I do think is fun. Someone else came up with that. I was like, what do we call ourselves? And they were like, we're all cousins. I was like, yeah.
We're all drunk cousins.
We're all trying to get through the family reunion barbecue.
When you said you either know who the drunk cousin is, or if you don't, it probably means you're the drunk
You're like, I can't think of anyone who's ruined a wedding. And you're like, babe, it's you. It's you.
It's you.
You were trying to do the cha-cha slide real good.
Oh, can you tell folks where they can find you and follow along? And just, I mean, y'all, you want to do it because everybody needs a laugh like this. And Lyndsay's offering them on the daily. So,
yes. You know what? The laughs are free. And then just use my promo codes when they pop up. Don't you want whiter teeth, guys? So you can find me at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram. And you guys, my name is Lyndsay Rush, and my first name is spelled weird, Lyndsay. Thanks, Mom. And so my brother-in-law, as a joke, bought me like a really bland URL because we were joking one day about squatting on URLs, like who bought like milk.com and blah, blah. And we were being drunk cousins late one night over Christmas, and he was like, we need to buy bread.com because someday someone's going to want that. Someone had already bought bread.com, but he got me for my birthday this year, thebread.net. And that redirects to my personal website. So if you want to go to thebread.net, that will pop you up to my website for all book announcements, and you can buy digital prints and hear about my events and all that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, if you come back to Chicago, which is where I am, let's grab a drink and be cousins together. Yeah.
Oh, my favorite, my beloved, my home.
I'd love to come see you.
Well, if you come to New York, we can hang out.
Hell yeah. You guys are in two of the best cities.
It's true.
Yep. Arguably, yes.
Arguably.
Thank you so much for letting me be a super fan stalker and saying yes to coming on the show. It was great. And I needed this so much today.
Thank you. And just, email me at maryalvarsdrunkcousin@gmail.com if you want to join the cult, because I feel like I've got you guys pretty close.
But it's
just
going to
find
cost
6
money,
reptilians and $100,000.
What is the currency of a reptilian?
Oh my gosh, right?
Repticoins?
Zards?
Zards? Cost you 6 sards.
Wow.
Get in sards now, because it's digital currency.
Yeah, it's the new crypto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Sardsies.
Lyndsay,
Try
thank
Zards
you
on
so,
Gecko.
so much.
Oh God, you guys are the best. Thank you for having me.
And in the native tongue of our reptilian brethren.
So much fun. I have not laughed that hard in a long time, but especially not in the last week. So
I like her advice for hypothetical us of lean into your dumbness.
she said to you guys, when we stopped recording, she goes, "You are both so dumb. This is the most dumb conversation I've had in a long time." And I mean that in the best way possible.
Yep. I took that as a compliment right away. Yeah.
So fun.
Years of growing up being told I was weird, I'm like, thank you. I reframe that in a positive way. You're weird.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not normal. You'll remember me.
It was great. It was so great. And the book is great. A bit much from somebody who was also a bit much. I mean, it's funny, but it's thought-provoking and a little bit provocative. And y'all should definitely get this anthology of poetry from Lyndsay Rush. It's so good.
Yeah. She is my type of humor. She gets me into poetry.
You two are perfect for each other. For sure.
Get the book. Check the show notes. We have everything in there. Let us know.
Ooh, how can they do that, Alan? How can they let us know what they think?
Yeah, let's see. You can write us at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at wasitchance. So hit us up, tag us in your stories, and let us know what's your favorite poem. Let us know what makes you weird. And I think an acceptable answer is I listen to your podcast, Alan and Heather. That's what makes me weird.
It could work.
That works.
Hey, listen, y'all, we have like 19 followers on TikTok. So if you are over there, could you just go follow Was It Chance? It hurts my ego every time I go and see it.
19's better than 18.
That's true. And you got to start somewhere.
That's right.
But I'm just saying, I would really appreciate it if you could just go give us a little follow.
Samesies.
And a little boost.
Samesies.
It was a lot of fun. We will keep bringing you fun, cool, unique guests. We love this. We love what we're doing. We love connecting with you. And you've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seale.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.